Hello all, this is JC3 from Is This Real? Do you want to start your own podcast? Then look no further than Buzzsprout.com. We here at Green Hour Media use Buzzsprout, and we love the team at Buzzsprout. They are all about helping you succeed. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform. Follow the link in our show notes to let Buzzsprout know that we sent you. It gets you a $20 paid Amazon gift card if you sign up with a paid plan and helps support our show. Join us and over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout.com to get your message out to the world. Welcome, everybody, to Is This Real podcast. My name is Joe. I'm with my father over here. Joe.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today, Dad?
I'm hanging in there. I can't complain. A little perplexed, but it's okay.
Well, it's perplexing times. What are you going to do?
Not much.
True. So, today's podcast, what is today's podcast about? You're going to take the lead on this podcast today.
Well, thanks. Today we're going to delve into some topics here. We're going to some bullshit stories that you're made to believe by the media out there. They'll tell you one thing and they'll run with the story like it's true, but it isn't. And when you ask for proof, they kind of like blow you off. They don't want to hear you. So they want their story to be out there and they don't care about your story. They don't care about the truth. Like Joe Biden says, we pick truth over facts. So having said that, I'm going to start the show with something that's really been irking me. Okay. I've been hearing this when it's very convenient for the left to turn around and say, well, here we go. How can you take a president seriously when the man turns around and he says to everybody that this virus was a hoax? Okay. I know they like to use that and they say, oh, well, he said it. I can dig up proof. Well, I've asked for proof over and over and over again. And the only time he's ever said it was one time. And it wasn't that he said it was a hoax. What he said was this was the Democrats' new hoax. And if you were to watch the show, the clip in context, which I'm going to play you right now. Okay. If you just listen to it, you'll understand that what he said was they're politicizing the entire thing. They're making this into Trump's the problem. Trump did nothing right. This is it. But yet they don't offer you any advice. They don't say to you, well, Trump did this bad, but here's how we should have done it. They never seem to come up with that idea. So I'm going to play this clip for you, and you let me know if if you hear him say that the virus is a hoax.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They can't even count their votes in Iowa. They can't even count. No, they can't. And this is their new hoax. But, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We will do everything in our power to keep the infection and those carrying the infection from entering our country. We have no choice. Whether it's the virus that we're talking about or many other public health threats, the Democrat policy of open borders is a direct threat to the health and well-being of all Americans. Now, you see it with the coronavirus. You see it. I also created a White House virus task force. It's a big thing.
I hope you stood by with that one. It's a little difficult doing what I'm doing over here. But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? He never said the virus was a hoax per se. Because if he did, then he would have never further went on to say stuff like, we're going to stop the people from coming into our country. Now, no, this was in February. Okay, so they've been riding this gravy train for 7 months now, and it's pathetic. It has to stop. So I urge everybody out there, if you have a brain in your head, don't listen to what you're being told. All you got to do is do your own homework, do your own research. And by any stretch, don't believe me. Don't believe a goddamn word I'm telling you. Do your own homework. If somebody tells you somebody said something, Don't believe it. Do your own research. Dig out the clip. Ask for proof. Because what's happening is they're using this as a way of getting rid of this president. They want him out. Because there's a variety of reasons why they want him out. And I don't understand why nobody is I don't understand why everybody just jumps all over it and takes what they say for granted. Now, everybody, MSNBC, Channel 7, Channel 4, ABC, NBC, CBS, the great CNN, MSNBC, these guys are all part of this. They all have an agenda. They do not want him in there. They want open borders. They want to do whatever they want to do. And he's the only guy standing between us and them. And, I hope you will take my advice and move on from that. So you heard it for yourself. He never called it a virus. He never called the virus a hoax. And you just got to move on from there, folks. Moving along. There's another thing that was brought to my attention a couple days ago. It was sent to my inbox. It was a video that I think you got it over there, Joe?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
This is the first time I'm seeing this video.
Okay. The video, we're going to play the video in its entire length. It's from somebody who put it together.
It's 9 minutes and 35 seconds long.
Okay. So, this is something it's going to run the gamut from what's going on and it's a chronological order. So from way back in September of last year, when they started with the
virus.
The virus was in February and January.
The virus started way before that, though.
It did. But I'm talking about in this country, what happens, what we're being told, and what they're doing to try to get this president out. You want to roll that tape, Joe?
Sure. Going right now.
Stop what you're doing. I'm about to show you something you already suspect deep inside, but can't explain. The United States of America is currently in the midst of a war. Not the kind when one country attacks another with missiles or tanks. Not like warplanes dropping bombs on our Pacific Fleet. Not like a hostile neighbor launching a surprise invasion across our borders. Instead, we face a cruel and merciless enemy who invented a whole new type of war, one that threatens us now more than all the bombs in the world. They are motivated by pure greed and inconceivable cruelty, and have been silently reversing all that is good for so long that we became lulled into a state of self-destructive compliance, while they tore us apart and robbed us blind. When patriots took back key branches of the U.S. government in 2016, a light was turned on to the vast corruption network that had infiltrated into the highest positions of power across every state. Only then did ordinary citizens begin to realize how close we had come to the end of it all. But first we must endure one last painful battle that will touch every citizen, no matter who they are. Right now, the country is being torn apart by the biggest political hoax and coordinated mass media disinformation campaign in living history. You may know it as COVID-19. Let me tell you a story. In 2015, as directed by the globalist criminal corruption network known as the Deep State, President Barack Obama authorized millions in funding for the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the location now understood to be the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak. The research carried out here was to provide the agent for a global biological attack on a scale never before seen. One that would be timed for release within an election year, starting the very day unsubstantiated efforts to impeach President Trump fell apart. With their base of operations in the Democrat establishment.
Hold on, it started the impeachment day?
No, what he's saying is it started basically with the end of impeachment. See how this works. Now I'm gonna add my own little spin to this. Back in September, we were told for 2 years about the Russia hoax. Mm-hmm. He was involved in Russia, and he had, the campaign was in league with Russia to steal the election. Well, we had 2 years of Robert Mueller investigating this, and he did. He spent millions and millions of dollars, and basically came out with the conclusion that there was nothing there. There was nothing being spied on. There was nothing, albeit the entire time he knew that the entire accusation was built on a false narrative and illegal search warrants and illegal warrants to wiretap members of the Trump campaign. So that went on for 2 years. Once that was done, the next thing we heard from September to December was impeachment. I have all the evidence. That's all we heard from Adam Schiff.
I remember that.
I have the evidence, and it's going to come out, and I'm going to. Well, we're still waiting on that evidence. Okay, he wasted millions of taxpayers' money, and in dollars to get through to this, and it never happened. Okay, it never happened. So they couldn't impeach him. They knew it was never going to go anywhere in the Senate anyway, because you would have to get 2/3 of the vote to convict him, to remove him from office. And they just knew it wasn't going to do it. But they thought they'd get enough leg out of this to get it right to the election. When they found out that the American people were getting tired of it, they wound it up around the end of December, beginning of January. And what comes on the heels of that? Soon as that's done, bingo,
Virus, yeah.
Here comes this virus. Starts out slow. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it. We got one new thing. We shut the borders down, blah, 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 blah. And then when the virus starts to wind down, or it starts to look a little better in this country, what happens? The mysterious George Floyd. Now, there's enough stuff surrounding that George Floyd thing that you could sit here for an hour to go through all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how he worked with the cop at a nightclub, and supposedly there was something that went down between the two of them. Look, either way, it was a clear murder. The cop murdered that man. Well, period. End of story.
If you believe he's murdered.
If you believe he's dead, but that's a conspiracy theory for another day. I don't have any evidence either way. But I'm going to tell you something. You just got to look at the timeline. You got to look at the timeline for 2 years. Then you got to look at the timeline from September to December. Now now you get right to it. When that is all basically the narrative, they can't push that narrative anymore. And they see we flattened the curve. We did this, we did that, we did everything else. Now they're telling us, well, you know what? George Floyd, his death is radical. The cops are no good. So then we have now we have the race riots. Now we have they dig that up. They push that narrative. Black Lives Matter. Well, we're going to delve into a little thing about Black Lives Matter in this program.
Let's finish this video first before we go through anything.
Right. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is everything the Democrats have tried is bullshit. Okay. So let's go to the next part of that video.
Okay.
The Deep State Shadow Corporation embarked on a coordinated irregular warfare insurgency with multiple aims, all under the cover of a global pandemic they themselves manufactured for this purpose. Enabled by their owned and controlled corporate media monopoly, they instigated a heavy-handed and unjustifiable nationwide shutdown to reverse Trump's many economic and unemployment gains, with Democrat-controlled states suffering the harshest restrictions in the country. Trump's energetic rallies were halted, hiding from view the surging nationwide passion for his galvanizing message, while Democratic presidential frontrunner Joe Biden was able to avoid interviews and debates where left-leaning voters would not be shown his obvious inability to govern, or the emerging Ukrainian bribery scandal that earned his family millions in illicit kickbacks by abusing his office. The next major advantage of the pandemic for the deep state was the case made to the public for mail-in voting, a highly insecure practice proven to be rampant with fraud, just as the public saw in one such example when a former Philadelphia judge pled guilty to stuffing ballot boxes after being paid by what he called a Democrat political consultant. With a rapidly rising death toll...
Okay, that was proven throughout everywhere that vote-in ballots are wrong or corrupt. Even in Patterson, people were arrested.
Two councilmen in Patterson.
Yeah, two councilmen who were arrested for mail-in.
Actually, there was three, not two.
Ballot fraud.
Right. This is another way for them to say, you know what? Even if Trump got 10,000 million votes more than Biden, they would say, well, it's no good because it was brought in and it was a bad way of doing it. It was fake. They were having dead people vote. Blah 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 blah. It's another way for them to design a way to cause doubt amongst everyone. and they think that this doubt is going to work. And so far, it hasn't. Now, I'm not going to say that Trump's going to win the election. I have no clue. But I know one thing. They have tried everything. Okay, now going back to that video where it says that Obama gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan virus. Mm-hmm. There's several articles that agree with it. Business Today. It says here, shocking, U.S. gave $3.7 million to China's Wuhan lab that conducted corona tests on bats. Another one is, trying to think where this is from here. This is breaking. Dr. Fauci and Obama administration gave Wuhan lab $3.7 million after its top Shizang, whatever, Zile had U.S. projects shut down and she was sent back to China. Okay, these are things that you can look this up yourself. We did give the Wuhan Wuhan lab $3.7 million, and then you go to some other websites and they'll tell you, oh no, it was just we gave them $3 million, and they can never tell you the truth. Okay, now these are independent sources that are giving me this, and you may believe them, you may not. That's up to you. But I'm going to tell you right now that it did happen. Now you got to ask yourself, why would we give the Wuhan lab, and we have labs of our own in this country, why would we give the Wuhan lab all this money? Now, again, I got to disagree with the video a little bit. It says that, they manufactured this. I can't sit here and tell you that I got evidence that somehow the Democrats manufactured this. I don't believe they did. I believe it was a virus that basically was let loose, and the United States was behind it with all the money that they were given. They gave this lab.
Well, that right there says that it was manufactured.
Well, it was, but it wasn't do we have proof that they wanted to let it loose now? See, that's what we got to come up with. If you come up with that's...
I'm sorry, but the timing is very, very... whatchamacallit?
Suspicious?
Yes.
Absolutely. Everything in this whole thing is suspicious, because if you look at the timeline, nothing is left to chance here. They are doing everything they can. Now, just to play devil's advocate, say, yeah, they did manufacture this, and they went out there, and then, when they were telling us, oh, don't worry about it, it's, Nancy Pelosi, oh, go to Chinatown, have dinner with the Chinese people, it's great, have a great time, knowing full well that this virus is on our doorstep. Now, Trump shut the border down immediately. He shut the border down with China immediately. And what happened? He got called a xenophobe. He got called a racist. He got called every name in the book by the Democrats. Who later, but now Joe Biden.
And the media in general.
Oh, the media in general. They do. The media is bootlickers. That's all they are. They will start all kinds of shit because they need to have these people in office for whatever reason. Okay, and time will tell if this was manufactured for this reason. Would we have seen this virus if they would have been able to impeach him? We don't know that.
Well, you can't play what ifs.
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and say I believe 100% it was manufactured for this thing, but if it was, then somewhere along the line, this effort doesn't just reach out with the Democrats here, because this was done over the course of a couple of years under the Obama administration, which I think is one of the most crooked administrations out there. And there's a lot of stuff out there against these people. But that's for another show. So, we do have evidence that they admit that they give money. They did give money to the Chinese Wuhan lab. So that's not in dispute. Why did they give them that money? What did we get? $3.7 million? What did we get out of it? We got a virus that took out 150,000 people. All right, go back to the video, Joe.
All right.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Hogs to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics.
Political consultant. With a rapidly rising death toll needed to make the case to the public for even harsher control, normal influenza deaths for the year were recorded as COVID-19, artificially inflating the numbers. But this was only the beginning. When this did not yield enough fatalities, the deep state initiated a murderous plan to defy federal guidelines and to move infected patients into nursing homes where the highest risk age group could be found in large numbers. The deep state governors of New York, New Jersey, California, Pennsylvania, and Michigan oversaw what can only be described as a genocide of our elderly loved ones, even as the quickly constructed field hospitals and medically equipped Navy ships stood mostly empty. This horrendous act cost the lives of over 50,000 people, but gave the insurgency a death toll that would stoke the public fear needed to push ahead with their goals. In these dark times, when people had little else but the comfort of community in their faith, this too was forcibly halted.
Let me get in here for a second because this really pisses me off. Okay, both my parents, your grandparents, are in their 80s. Mm-hmm. We're lucky that they have good health. Mm-hmm. You know, Uncle Sal is in his early 80s, relatively good health. Mm-hmm. If they were in a home, at a nursing home, and some jack-off governor decided he was going to send some COVID patients to this home and kill and spread the disease for whatever reason, I probably wouldn't be sitting behind this microphone talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it's a proven fact. Now, I dug up two articles here. One of them is on Andrew Cuomo. He sent these people to the thing. Okay, and what happened was he sent people because he said he had no beds, and he wanted to keep the beds available for the serious. Well, we have a problem with that because he had all the Jacob Javits Center that Trump sent and built, and he had I believe it was the Mercy that came in record time, and somehow after all that's done, he still has to send COVID patients to nursing homes. Our most susceptible people in this fucking pandemic are the elderly. Mm-hmm. Okay, but somehow this genius decides he's going to send it. And then he wants to blame it on Trump, saying to tell everybody that, well, this was Trump's mandate. Trump never mandated that at all. And I defy anybody that comes like, you find me something that shows me that Trump mandated this. Never did. But he won't take responsibility for it. Now, if this guy in the video is saying that this is an orchestrated effort, well, I can tell you right now that, yeah, he did send it. And here's another one. That nitwit down in Trenton, Murphy. He sent them also, but he doesn't no one's getting on his back about it. All right. But the problem with that is when people were going down there, he forbid anybody to be tested going into nursing homes. All right. So that's where that rub comes in too. Him and Cuomo, so far that I can prove, did this, costing the senior citizen his life. I got a friend who's in a nursing home right now, and he's telling me they got a floor that's dedicated just for this stuff.
For COVID patients.
For COVID patients. Okay.
Who are not already in they're not senior citizens living at the senior citizens complex, right? The nursing home.
What do you mean? There are he's my age. I'm 60. So.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's not like the people living at the nursing home who are on the floor of the COVID patients. It's these outside sources that are being put into the nursing home, like this video is saying.
Right. And they want to, according to him, it's an orchestrated effort. Again, I can't say it's orchestrated, but it really is suspicious.
Well, yeah, because what I'm saying is to clarify that, to say there's a whole floor dedicated to COVID patients. A lot of people turn around, well, of course there's got to be a floor dedicated to COVID patients because nursing homes have COVID patients. But it's not people living in the nursing home who are already there that have COVID. It's people being brought in from hospitals.
And then in New Jersey, if you decide they wanted to test the people that were working there. And Murphy decided, no, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. Why would you do that? Wouldn't you want to know that everybody's clear in there and test these people regularly? That makes no sense to me. These are moves that don't make any goddamn sense. Mm-hmm. But these are killing people, innocent people who are in the golden years of their lives that are being destroyed. Now, I can't say that it was done for an agenda. I can't say it was, because that makes them criminals. Mm-hmm. Now, am I going to sit there and accuse them of being a criminal? No, but I'm going to accuse them of very, very poor judgment and stupidness. But they go around telling you they're the first ones who'll sit there and scream and yell about how bad Trump is. But the media doesn't do a damn thing about it.
No, you're not going to know.
You're never going to see it in the media in this country. Okay, except on Fox, because Fox they're leaning for the Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the part that drives me absolutely nuts, and it has to change. Somewhere along the line, the media has to be accountable. They have to be called out. They're so good on fact checking everybody. They'll fact check everything that Trump says, but yet you won't see a damn thing being fact checked when it comes to their people. Nothing. Not a damn thing. Anyway, go back to the video.
All right, there we go.
In these dark times, when people had little else but the comfort of community in their faith, this too was forcibly halted when simply going to church was banned across the country under the guise of public safety. Depression and loneliness became the new epidemic, all designed to create the social conditions needed for what was to come next in their despotic plan to fracture the nation and hold on to power. Immediately upon reports of a flattening curve and a reduction in new cases, the mysterious murder of George Floyd hit the headlines. What was presented to the public as a routine instance of racially motivated police brutality turned out to be a strange and coincidental series of events involving two men who once knew each other, working security in a nightclub. This event provided the justification for the next chapter in their coordinated insurgency against the United States. The goal was to inflame civil unrest along racial lines on an emotional platform of social justice. A divided house cannot stand, and the enemy knew this all too well. Black Lives Matter was funded and designed by the corrupt Democrat establishment as a social weapon to draw crowds of well-meaning protesters into harm's way, using them as human shields while they pushed a savage insurrection on city streets. This was intensified even further by folding in the violent paramilitary group Antifa, who were given a free pass by Democrat mayors and governors to loot stores, smash up small businesses, and assault innocent bystanders. The public were shown in explicit detail how Democrat leaders refused to protect local citizens, choosing instead to provide an open road for the anarchists to destabilize civil society, allowing the innocent to be indiscriminately injured and terrorized. Knowing that lawless chaos would accelerate their aims, they began calling for the elimination of police, while evicting the National Guard, who were made available to protect the public against the worst of the violence. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser even called for the elimination of the White House fence, just days after a close call by rioters who attempted to breach the perimeter. And on June 22nd, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff proposed a House bill to amend United States Code Title 18 that would prohibit the use of military force in the event of civil unrest, an obvious attempt to weaken the Commander-in-Chief's ability to defend the public from the planned insurrection, which was intended to play out over the weeks and months leading up to the election.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hello, nerds. Come listen to the History Nerds United podcast, and let's make history fun again. We interview today's best authors, whether they are established Pulitzer Prize winners or someone debuting their first book. Let us show you that history is not a boring class you took in high school, but a place where the best stories come from. And we don't just cover history. We also love to chat about true crime, biographies, memoirs, and so much more. So head on over to History Nerds United, and let us introduce you to your new favorite book and learn the story behind the story.
History Nerds United.
Attorney General William Barr has appointed the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut to investigate.
The pandemic was also providing cover of a different kind. Taking place behind the scenes at the Justice Department is a far-reaching investigation into the Obama administration's weaponization of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court to spy on Trump and his associates during the transition of power. with evidence now emerging that Obama officials, including Joe Biden and Obama himself, colluded to frame General Michael Flynn. They used social distancing guidelines to hold grand juries and give witnesses the cover of health fears to avoid honoring court-ordered subpoenas. What you are witnessing is the dying breaths of a hidden enemy responsible for over a century of embedded corruption that has been slowly destroying our republic from the inside. They divided us along racial, gender, and political lines. They created reasons for us to go to war. They made international trade agreements that brought us no benefit, but allowed them to steal our vast wealth, driving us into a state of perpetual economic decay. They flooded our streets with deadly drugs to manufacture a devastating epidemic of addiction and mass incarceration. And they did it all with impunity while their completely controlled mainstream media assets kept us distracted and focused on everything else except our one true enemy. The 2020 U.S. elections are like none we have ever experienced. COVID-19 is being sold as a natural event, but we see now it is an attempt by enemies of humanity to hold on to power. After November, they stand to lose it all, but they will do everything to keep the crisis alive and the people in fear. To win, we must remember what made us strong, so that true justice can finally return to what is, and always will be, the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history. May God bless America.
Now let's get back a little bit to where he says that the governors and the mayors allowed this stuff to happen when they allowed Antifa to come in. That's absolutely true. Unless you live in a bubble and you haven't paid attention to the news, it has been. But the problem with that is a slant. Now, on CNN, they're just protesters. They're peacefully protesting. They're exercising their First Amendment right.
And there are people who are. Okay. Problem with that is your First Amendment right goes out the window when you throw a chair through a window. Well, yeah, I know that. But there are people who are just peacefully protesting. And there have been people who have denounced the people like Antifa who are throwing stuff through windows, who are breaking property, stuff like that. Right. So you have to separate the actual protesters from the anarchists.
That's great, and you can do that if you sit down and you actually analyze what's going on. Yeah, that's where the media problem comes in, because they don't do that. They want it all or nothing. It's either all peaceful protests, and this is just their way to exercise throwing a brick through a window, and they're just doing what they want to do. That's what the mayor of Chicago said. They're going to do what they want to do. No, that doesn't work. All right. First of all, if the media is going to quote something and the media is going to get it right, they have to understand what's going on. Now, when you get an idiot like Chris Cuomo on CNN who turns around and says, "Where does it? You show me where it says they have to be peaceful." Well, just read the first article of the Constitution.
Oh, yeah, he's an idiot. What
and it's right there. So he's the big and mighty, powerful guy with his brother in Albany and all this stuff. He's supposed to know this stuff. Okay. All right. I may not agree with a lot of stuff, but I'll sit there and I'll fight for the people's right to say it. Where I won't, the problem I have is now when people start becoming anarchists and they bring in Antifa and the government does nothing about it and the media lies about it, that's the problem. That's the goddamn problem right there. You need to have the media wake up. And like I said at the beginning of this show, the media is the problem.
It always will be.
The media is the problem. The media does not hold anybody accountable except Trump. Trump took a ship and he used the right toilet paper. Oh my God, he's going to put the people out.
Yeah, but that's been going on ever since forever.
You're right, but that's the problem. It needs to come to an end. People have got to stop. And I believe it or not, I've actually seen a lot of people this time around questioning the media. How can you say something like that? How can they question CNN? How can you say that this is peaceful when they're burning down cities? The mayor of New York just told the police to stand down. Okay,
you know what it's become? It's become more of people care. But at the same time, they're just worrying about themselves. You know what I mean? It's people are going to sit there and question the media, but nobody can do anything about it. And the only way you can do stuff about it is if you actually sit there and just not watch the news whatsoever.
It's still not going to change anything because you're going to get certain people that are going to follow whatever the news tells you. Now, again,
that's on both sides too.
Well, I follow Fox News. I do, and there's a couple other ones that I follow too. But I also watch CNN. I want to know what they're talking about. I want to see the difference. There's a lot of times I'll go to CNN and there'll be a breaking story, and CNN won't have it on, but Fox will. Okay. You know, it's almost to the point now where what story is going to cover your angle? You know, we're going to try to make it the truth as long as it's your angle. And that's the problem in this country. We need to stand together as one people and go after the people who are lying to us. Don't let anybody lie to you. Hold them accountable.
That's also the thing right there. Who do you sit there as a human being, as an American citizen, do you think is lying to you? Because you have a lot of people that, you know, I talk to, my age group will sit there and go, well, you know, Trump lies about everything. And then, you know, again, you ask them to prove it, they have nothing to prove. But you know, they believe Trump is lying. We believe the media is lying. So as American citizens, how do you come to like an agreement about who is lying?
Well, what you can do is basically you can take matters into your own hands. Okay? You can watch the news and you can watch it with a grain of salt. But what you can do is you can say, yeah, that's bullshit. I don't believe this. Many times I watch Sean Hannity and I'll go, that just doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that. That's you know, Sean, come on. You know, you asked the right question, you know, and sometimes they let people get off the hook. But the problem was when you blatantly lie. And like I said at the opening, when they said that Trump said that the virus is a hoax, blatantly did not say that.
Yeah.
He did not. That's a lie. And that's one example of many. But yet...
over the 4 years that Trump has been...
Well, president. 3.5. Okay. And I do agree with this guy, what he's saying, that the corrupt establishment they know that if Trump gets in again, it's over for them. They know that if Nancy Pelosi gets booted out of Congress or she loses that power, it's done. Adam Schiff, these people are criminal, evil people, and they've been allowed to fester too long in Congress. All right? And that goes for the Congress, that goes for the Senate as well. These people need to get out of office. We need to start putting people in there that are going to actually do our bidding.
What I believe there should be term limits for Senate and Congress anyway.
Well, that'd be great, but the problem with that is the people that are going to set the term limits are the ones that are abusing the term limits now.
You're right. I think it should be voted by the people, because as a citizen of the United States, to see someone who's been, like, for Nancy Pelosi or Schiff, someone who's been in Congress or in Senate for 40, 50 years, who has been through 10 presidents, you know, these people, they sit there and go, well, you know, things have to get better. You've been in Congress for 40 years. What have you done?
Nothing.
And that's the problem. You don't sit there and go through 10 presidents and be in the same position of power that you've been in for 40 fucking years. There needs to be term limits. Like, if the person who has the ultimate power as a president of the United States of America, the president of the free world, to have a term limit of 4 years, every 4 years you get the chance to elect a new one. It has to be the same thing for the people behind the president.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And you know, you might have something there with the people they have to vote it on. They have to vote it. But again, to get it on the ballot, you have to go through these congressmen. And we got a congressman in our own district here, Bill Pascrell. It's 40 years now.
Yeah.
Bill, I haven't. My life isn't any better because Bill Pascrell has been there for 40 years. Okay, the thing I'm trying to get across is we need to start holding everyone accountable, and the media has to get on these people. We have to. The media should be allowed. I'm at the point right now where if the media is continually caught lying, that's not a First Amendment right to give falsehood, especially when you put something on Facebook and it's absolutely true, and Facebook reserves the right to take it off because they think so.
So the difference between the media and Facebook is, because Facebook is more social media, and there's a difference between actual media and social media. The media has the basic principle of the media is to tell the whole truth to the public regardless of bias. That is the media's job. That was literally how the media was created. What they're supposed to do is supposed to tell the truth, no bias whatsoever. Social media is different because social media is the opinion of the people. It's an opinion-based area. So, I mean, granted, yes, if it is fact, it shouldn't be taken down. But you're going to have people who, you've seen it. People will go, well, I don't believe that. I don't like that. It shouldn't be on there. And it goes into the whole cancel culture that we're in right now.
Right.
If they don't like it, they have to take it down. So that's what Facebook and what Facebook goes through is like, it's just like what these conservative people on YouTube say. You're never going to see a conservative mob. You're never going to see someone, protest a liberal meeting on a campus because, they shouldn't say what there's a lot of conservative people are not going to sit there and go, no, you don't have the right to say that, because you do have the right to say that. It's your freedom of speech. And they're not going to sit there and go, well, this shouldn't be taught on our campus. That doesn't happen with liberal people. Liberal people, not all of them, but a good, what I call leftists or extreme leftist people, you're going to say what I want you to say. And if you say something that I don't like, you're going to be canceled.
Right.
And that's what we're going through in this country, in this world right now, and that's the problem, and that's what the media is turning into now. The media is turning more into social media than it is regular unbiased media. Now that goes for both. It goes for conservative and liberal,
right?
Because Fox is more conservative, and so CNN is more liberal. You have to have, there should be a media source where it's right in the middle. And you're never going to get it because you're never going to have people be like, well, I'm not going to watch this shit because it doesn't agree with my opinion.
Right. And it all comes from one simple thing. It's a for-profit medium. These people have to, they have to bring in as many viewers as they can.
Yeah.
And to justify the fact that they're selling, ads at whatever rate they are these days, I don't even know. And as long as you have money that's backing these people up, you're going to get it. You're going to get the slant to the left or the slant to the right.
Well, it depends on who the person backing that media is.
But what I can't handle, what I don't like, and this is for both sides, I don't like the lying. I can't stand the bullshit. What I really don't like is the stupid people that believe this shit. You need a culture that actually has a brain in their head. And we're so often drawn to people that think like us and talk like us and dress like us because we think that that's the right thing to do. In our mind, that's the right thing to do. So, you know what? I don't have to listen to you. Other people take it to another extreme. I don't like what you say, so therefore you don't have the right to say it.
Yeah, that's the cancel.
That's the cancel
whatever
culture. The fuck they're called.
Yeah, it's a alliteration type thing.
Okay, and I can't stand that. That's the problem I have from the get-go. If we all were honest, if everybody was honest and the media did their job, these people wouldn't be able to lie. And if people would sit there, like these hard-hitting questions that they're asking Joe Biden, what color mask are you going to wear next week? Or, stupid shit that makes no sense about what's going on. But they'll ask Trump everything about what's going on. They'll say, they'll turn around and go, well, you know what, you said this. Do you actually mean what you say? They don't do that to Biden. They won't say a word to him when they can get him out of his basement.
No, Biden is old and fragile and feeble.
Don't give a shit. You're running for president.
No, I agree.
Then I don't want him as president. Okay.
But see, that's my problem with the whole thing in general is you sit there and people who support Biden, and the people who support Biden are the same people that turn around and be like, well, there's too many old white men in Congress and who run this country, but we're going to support an old white guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't understand why people sit there. Again, it's mostly people my age. And then, you have the people who are your ages who just, like I've been telling people is the new generation doesn't listen to the old generation, and the old generation thinks the new generation is stupid. And that's the type of thing we're going, as far as right now, the old generation, new generation are clashing.
Mm-hmm.
And it always has, but right now it seems more because, the way culture is right now.
And why is that? Have you ever asked yourself why that is?
Why is what?
Why is the cultures? Why is the generations clashing?
Well, it goes more media. What the media tells people. Now, my opinion is that the generations are clashing because the generation, like my generation, think outdated ideas like the older generation thinks we need to progress, we need to move on. But instead, they take it to the extreme now. It's not we need to improve on the ideas. It's more of we need to forget all the ideas and start our own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Because like the old saying goes, if you forget the past, you repeat it.
I believe that too. In a way, you're right, but also believe that this counterculture shit has been taught in our campuses now for the better part of 30, 35 years. Okay, you've had people, generations coming out of the 60s, all right, that were feeling somewhat like this, but now they're the same people now that are going to turn around and tell you, you know what, I was wrong back then. All right. Problem with that is now they got these people that the children of those people have become professors, and they're teaching this shit. They're teaching how it is to be against the government. The government's no good. Your parents, they don't know anything because they've had their time. Well, no, the only way you're going to improve on something in this world is if you look at something that went down. If you look at something, how do you think we got as far as making a computer in this world? We didn't have it. We took what we had. Everybody improved on it. That's why we have cell phones. Okay, that's why we have every generation of a cell phone, iPhone 1, iPhone 5, iPhone 10.
Yeah.
Okay, because we improve on it. We don't just throw them out so you can't use them anymore. They're disgusting. If you get caught using them, you're no good. No, you want to use them? That's fine. But if you get caught in a trap where you can't do as much as the iPhone 10, that's on you. Problem here is this has been taught in our campuses, and it's coming from a liberal standpoint where basically you can't have any conservative values in a campus because how many times now the conservative party has been booed off of campuses, and you can't you can't go there, you can't do anything.
True.
It's insane. I mean, what's his name?
Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. How many times has he been booed off campus? But the crazy bastard stands there and fights back because he's not going to let anybody intimidate him. And that's what you got to do. You have to stand up to these people. You're not going to do it.
Well, that's one thing I love about watching people like Ben Shapiro and like Charlie Kirk or Owen Schroyer is they put themselves out there. And that's one thing I love about, I'm guessing it goes more conservative than anything because now, as you know, you have your far right conservatives who are fucking retarded, and then you have the far right left, who again is just fucking retarded. But people like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, they encourage debate.
Right.
They encourage people like Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. They want people who disagree with them to come up first.
Right.
They're like, we're not here to listen to everybody say, oh, you're right. We want people to sit there and go, well, this is why you're wrong. And then they'll have a debate. Now, the problem with most of the people that come up is they'll sit there and they want to just say, well, you're wrong,
mm-hmm.
and not debate. Right. And then talk over them when they're talking, stuff like that. And I think that goes into what your generation has taught the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your generation, like you said, coming out of the 60s with government bad, stuff like that, government bad, peace good, they coddled us. And, your generation having kids that were coddled, and then now that generation is having kids that are even coddling more.
Mm-hmm.
It started in the late 80s and the 90s with everyone's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets a trophy. There's no losers anymore. that's such a fucking retarded way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, and it doesn't even come with like I get some things, like I like you and I and Mom, we always debate about the whole the South thing.
The Confederate flag.
Yeah, the Confederate flag and the Confederate statues. We debate about that all the time. But I think with more, it's with you, I understand what your point is. It's more of go through the court system, go through this legally.
Yeah, let the people decide. You don't have a right to go into somebody and beat the shit out and take something off of public property. If you don't agree with it, then do something about it, but do it the legal way. Don't go, you have no right, just because, again, cancel culture. You think it's one way, so we have to take it down and that's it. Now, I can tell you what I agree with, and I can tell you what I don't agree with as far as the South. That could be 3 shows by itself. Okay, well, if you want to say it represents slavery, that's fine. To somebody else, it might not. Okay, but if a building that in the South decides to fly the flag, and it's been voted on by the people, then sorry, folks, if you're in a minority, that's what democracy is all about. You're not going to win all the time. Because if we were going to win all the time, I'd have Trump in there constantly. I would say no more voting because I want Trump as my president, or I want Ronald Reagan. Dig him up. Let's put him back. Okay, that's the issue. That's my whole issue. What it means to certain people, I don't care. All right, that's your personal belief. But when you impose your personal belief on other people and don't care about their personal belief, that's the problem. That's where we have to stop. We have to understand that everybody has a thought, and everybody's thought matters. Okay, just like Black Lives Matter, everyone's thoughts matter. I'm going to get a T-shirt. Everybody's thoughts matter.
Okay, I agree and disagree.
Okay.
Because I do believe, democracy works, and agree that it should go through a court system, but I also agree that, number one, it shouldn't have been put up in the first place. And I understand you're talking about, 100 years ago, 90, 80 years ago. To me, someone like as far as Confederate goes, it was retarded to put it up in the first place. Because, at least in public eye, if you want to put up a museum, that's fine. I'm all for putting these statues in public, in museums. Because, again, I'm not trying to recreate history or forget history. History is in books. History is in museums. That's where history is taught. Let's put them there. Mm-hmm. You don't want to forget. You want to, but you don't want to glorify either. Mm-hmm. And for me, statues that are in public eye should be for people we should glorify for their accomplishments. Now, granted, the what you have with George Washington and stuff like that, these people were slave owners, yes, but it was the time of business, of how people, it's not giving it right or wrong, but it's how people made business. It costs more money to free a slave than it did to keep a slave.
Okay.
Because at the time, you had to give a slave $1,000, I believe, if you were going to free them. And, when you have 450 slaves on your plantation or under your thing, you're talking about $450,000. People didn't have that at that time.
Was that some kind of a law that you had?
Yeah, that was a law. Okay. If you were going, and people wanted to free their slaves, but you had to give them money so they can live. Now, I don't know, maybe $100, I don't know, $1,000. I don't know what the money it was, but it was too much money to just free them. Mm. And again, what it should have been, you're right. People are right. It was wrong to do. It shouldn't have happened, but it's just how the world was. Now, fast forward 200 years, and 250 years, to be exact. Now, we have come so far away from slavery that people just don't see that.
Okay.
And I understand, people are like, well, it happened. Okay. You had so many things in history that have happened, but people move on from it. Not saying just to move on, but nobody is a slave these days.
not to go too far from the media aspect we were talking about before, but just to make your point here, when you say, it shouldn't have happened or it wasn't going to happen, it happened. Joe Caiola Jr., had nothing to do with it. So when a politician comes to me and says to me, a liberal politician who's basically doing everything they can to kiss the black community so they can get their vote. Okay, when they come to me and they make it known that, well, you're a white person. Well, okay, I'll give you that much. Yep, that's luck of the draw, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it was not a luck. Maybe it was bad. Whatever you want to put it, I don't care. But this is what I was born. And you now owe those slaves such and such money for reparation. No, I don't. I had nothing to do with it. Okay, I don't know. I do not owe an Indian a casino. I don't know anybody anything except for my house and my car.
Well, if you even think about it, that's funny, because if you trace a lineage back from almost everybody in the country these days, there's a finite group of people who trace back to actual revolutionary times in the United States. Like, as far as our family history, we came here, what, early 1900s?
Well, our first generation was, like 1870, 1880.
Yeah, from Italy and stuff like that. So it's hard to sit there and, our family, I don't know over in Italy, but our family never owned any slaves on American soil.
Mm-hmm, right.
So that's the problem of sitting here saying, well, white people owe reparations to black slave families, mm-hmm. because not all white people own slaves, mm-hmm. or their families didn't own slaves, right. But to sit there in general and say, well, something that happened 250 years ago, like, or what's the next? Or is, if any Jew family, not Jew family, any German family going to owe reparations to Jew families for something that happened 60 years ago?
Well, that would have to be something
70 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where does it stop?
It doesn't, and that's the problem. We're going to go right back to the beginning of the show. The media, they grab onto this, and they just run with it like it's fact. Like, we're going to cause a problem, and we're going to cause a race problem because we're going to tell the white people that they owe the black people for keeping their ancestors slaves. Well, I'm sorry, but the white people then are going to get pissed off and say, no, you don't. And that's the part of racism. People don't realize it. When you get people together and you get the media standing behind one culture telling you you're bad.
Yeah, media fan the flames of racism.
When they stand there and they say, well, you're bad because you're white. How many times on the news you say, well, you're a white male, so you're bad? Sorry to tell you, that's bullshit, okay? I'm not, you got white males that are bad, you got white females that are bad, you got black, you got gray, you got orange. There's good and bad in everyone, okay? The media is not going to tell you because it doesn't fit their fucking narrative.
Well, it goes with anything. It goes with, like, what the media is doing to, well, culture, not culture, what general population right now is doing to Terry Crews is disgraceful.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's happening with Terry Crews, right?
I saw him on an interview once, and he was saying something about all Black Lives Matter, and why are you not moaning about the black people that are being shot?
So basically what happened with Terry Crews is he turned around and he posted something saying, let's make sure, like, he said, Black Lives Matter without white people turns into black supremacy, and that's not what we need.
Okay.
And he's right. You can't turn around and people want to cancel out white people for being white, but you can't turn around and, it turns into supremacy. It's not equality. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes with any subgenre or subgender, whatever the hell you want to call it. Like extreme feminism. It's not about equality with male. It's about the supremacy of male.
Right.
And I think that's the problem. It shouldn't be supremacy. You want equality, not supremacy.
Well, the equality thing drives me crazy too, Joe, because they'll tell you, we want equality. We're going to tell you how we're all equal. But then they stand there and the media people will sit there and say, we're all equal. But here's the difference. Here's the differences. Well, no. You can't have it both ways. Either we are all equal or we're not. So I'm going to push for the all equal part. We're all going to be the same. Now, is there racism in everyone? Yes. Everyone's going to, one time or another, is going to yell the N-word. I know we're not perfect, and I know every white guy's going to get called a cracker or whatever. So that doesn't mean you're a bad person.
The equality right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference in racism in general.
Okay.
It goes into the words. We can say cracker online. We could say cracker this, cracker that. That white guy's a cracker. And everybody be like, ha ha. But we have to say the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can't actually say the N-word.
Right.
We could just say the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone will be like, okay, if you say that word, you're being canceled.
Well, that's the problem. And they'll push you. If you say that word, you're a racist. That's the word that's more harmful to anybody is the word racist. When you're threatened with becoming a racist, you don't want to be known as a racist. You might have black friends. You might have Hispanic friends. And our own family. Okay? Your nephew, my grandson, he's half African-American, half black. Okay? Teresa's on the verge of marrying a Hispanic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not a spick.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is, okay, if you would call somebody that name, you're a racist. But yet if they call you a cracker or a white devil,
well,
they're not a racist.
There's a whole culture that thinks you cannot be. Especially, again, it goes into generational thinking. There's a whole generation, it's my generation, that thinks you can't be racist to white people.
Well, I'm here to tell you can.
No, I know.
You know, I mean, it's. I don't know where we've gone, what we've done in this country, where we've flipped the fucking switch.
It's media. It all goes back to the media. The media is the devil above anything else, and that's the problem. Yeah. We have to change how media is perceived and how media is told,
right.
how is broadcast. And once we start doing that, that's when things will change. Well, now, but here's the thing, though. You have so much divide right now.
Mm-hmm.
Between liberal thinking and conservative thinking and people who just don't give a shit. There's so many things you could divides between all these people. Where do you start? Where do you start to bridge those again?
Well, you can start with the guy in the mirror. You can look at yourself and say, you know what, today I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change. I'm going to treat somebody else of a different race or a different background as my equal, because that's what they are. Again, I got friends that are black. One of my dearest friends, Marie, she's a Haitian woman. And she's absolutely, we go back and forth about she's anti-Trump, I'm pro-Trump. But at the end of the day, she's not Marie the black woman. She's Marie Williams, my friend. And I would walk in front of a bus for this woman because that's what friends do. And I don't look at her. Another one, Jordan. I never looked at Jordan as black. I never looked at him as Hispanic. I looked at him as Jordan. He race identifies himself. He does that to himself. I'm a black guy. I don't go around saying I'm Joe the white guy. I'm just Joe. And that's where we need to stop. We need to stop saying, well, this black woman downtown today decided that she was going to cross the street and she didn't see the bus coming. Well, wait a minute. What did her color matter? Did that matter? Or was it this woman stepped off the thing?
No, I think you're talking more in general media. Again, it goes on both sides. Like it's hard to sit there and say that only the left does it or only the right does it, because it's on both sides.
Right.
And I think as a general change, I think everyone, and not everybody's going to agree, because you have people thinking, well, color is the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most racist thing you can do is think of color as the only thing. Now, that goes with black people, that goes with Spanish people, that goes with yellow people, that goes with, you know what I mean? It goes with every sort of color you want, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I don't understand why people say, well, you know, Black Lives Matter, or this lives matter, or that lives matter. Like, I understand it's not, what they're saying with Black Lives Matter is not, well, what it's supposed to say is we have to figure out the reason why this is happening to this particular group.
Right.
But it's turning into what Terry Crews says, it's turning into supremacy of that particular group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not with all of them, not with all Black Lives Matter people, but it's mostly the violent ones who are mostly, and the funny part about, you know, Antifa, they're not, most of them aren't even black.
No, they're being paid. That's why they're being paid.
Most of them are white people.
Right. They're being paid. That's the problem.
And it's white people my age, too.
Guilty people, because they're being felt that they're being basically made to feel that I have to help the black people out because the black people are so hard done by. Now, you're going to get black people that go, no, that's really, I don't need your help. I can manage it on my own. Okay. That's the narrative that's got to be changed. We need to stop. The guilty white liberals in this country are ruining it for everybody. They're literally taking it to a level that I've never seen before. You've got to feel, I'm guilty, so I have to help that guy out because he's not me. Well, he's not a white guy, so I have to help him. No, you know, they're more than capable of helping themselves. And they do. They don't need your skinny ass to go down there and start shit. Because what you're doing is you're giving people a bad name. You're giving them, the peaceful people who want to protest, who make a fucking difference, you're giving them a bad reputation and a bad name. You know, what pissed me off more than anything, when George Floyd got killed, and let's put it where it is, he did get killed, okay? I literally, for a brief second, I thought, you know what? Wow, it's a sad situation, but we're all on the same page. All the news media was on the same page. We all agreed. But then Antifa showed up, broke down buildings, and then some black rioters came in and destroyed what the peaceful protest is all about. And that's what we got now.
And it just continued to build.
Okay. And then when you sit there and when you allow mayors and governors and everything else to just do stupid shit and just go on and on and on and on and on, but the media doesn't say anything, or the media wants to cover it up, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. So basically the whole gist of this whole show is the media needs to change. And you know how we can change it? Turn it the fuck off. Don't listen to them anymore. When they're not making a goddamn dime, they're going to change their tune. All right? That's all. I mean, I don't know what else to say about stuff like that. I think we covered pretty much, I was going to go into the BLM today, but I want to do that for another show about the donations that are going to BLM. Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to go behind the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's funny that with Black Lives Matter movement and Antifa, they're one and connected.
Oh, no doubt about it. The money's being funneled through, and the next time on our next show, we're going to do that. And also, I just got word, really exciting. We're going to do a JFK show, probably within a week or two. And Judith Baker, she wrote a book called Me and Lee about Lee Oswald, and she knew Lee going, early in the 60s, and she was a cancer specialist, and she wrote the book is really great. So if you have a chance to go out there and get it, it's called Me and Lee. Her name is Judith Baker. She's agreed for an hour-long interview, and she gave me her phone number, and we're going to set that up. I'm going to call her today, and then we're going to set it up on
it'll be like our third episode.
Yeah, I mean, this way we can get that to doing. But the next one is going to be covering, I would imagine, Black Lives Matter and what they're all about. And I'm not afraid of Black Lives Matter. I'm not afraid to name names, but we're going to have to go into that with a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
You know, so from my aspect today, I think we covered a lot of stuff. I hope it's been informative, and people are going to be interested in it and get back to us. If you can agree with us, that's fine. If you don't agree with us, that's more than fine. I'm willing to debate. I'm willing to sit down and talk.
Again, if you have any questions, you can email us at isthisrealpc@ gmail.com, no spaces. And we'll glad we'll answer questions on air. We could have just a whole questionnaire episode that we'll put up.
It's a good idea. Why don't we get them to and then at the end of every show, we'll answer a couple of questions. If we can answer them, we might not have the answers, but we can try.
And again, if you listen and follow us. I'll definitely have a Facebook page and Spotify. We'll be on Spotify.
All right. Well, it was really good talking to you today, Joe. I'll see you next time.
I'll see you next week, Dad. All right.